In this video, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to brackets and an introduction to starting to work with code inside of it. And brackets is a code editor that is really useful for working with HTML and CSS. And one of the really great things is that it gives you a live preview of your site. So for example, I have this image example up, and when you have brackets open, and I'm going to go through and show you how to open up the page, but when you have a page open inside of it, and this is just an HTML page with no CSS, and I press on the lightning bolt on the side, it's going to give me a preview of this page, and it shows me all the content that's here. And there's a live link between what's here that I've written in the code and what's on the page. So for example, if I hover over this is showing me this is a Abraham Munting etching of these bananas. And down here, this is a image of BMO. And when I scroll down, I have both of those here. And I also can update the text and see those changes live. So for example, if I added in an H1 tag, H1, and I say this is my title, and I close it out, notice that that is then updated at the very top. So this is my other title, right? So you don't have to keep pressing this button unless it breaks or it just disconnects for some reason. Sometimes it happens. When you re-press it, it'll show you another live window of your scene or of your code. Now, the way to open up files inside this page here, or inside brackets, is you can do this a couple different ways. One is I can drag and drop a folder directly into the area over here, and it'll say, do I want to save my changes of what I was working on? And for right now, I'm not. And you'll see that it opens it up in the preview window down here. So I can then double click on my index, and it shows me my overall text coming up here, my overall code. If I want to do a split screen, so I want to see my HTML on the left over here and my CSS on the right. HTML is for the structure of the site. CSS is for the styling and the design of our site. I can then navigate to where my CSS is, open it up, and right here there's this option to split the editor into a vertical split. And I can drag that styles.css and I can see both at the same time. In this first week, we're not looking at CSS for the most part, so we don't really have to worry about this, but just so you know that this is here. So I'm going to go back to no split, and I'm just seeing my content here. To create a new page, what I'm going to do is go to File and New. And so if I wanted to make a secondary page, one that's going to be linked to my index, one that is like an about page, or one that's like just an inner page, or just my second page, I can then do that by doing File and New. And right now it says untitled-1. And so I need to write an extension on this. I need to say .html. I need to give it a qualifier in the same way that you would give an image like a JPEG or a PNG. They have to have an extension .png.jpg. So then I go to File and Save, and I'm going to say, let's call this page2.html. And so I need that .html. And so now what I'm going to do for the sake of ease, I'm just going to come back to my first page, highlight what I have here, right click, copy, come back, and then paste. Now you'll notice up here there's a couple of things, and we've talked about this a little bit in class, but just as a review, this first line, the exclamation doctype HTML, says this whole page is an HTML page, and this has to go at the top. The second one is HTML tags, and it says everything inside this container. So when I twirl it up, you'll see that everything on the page is inside these HTML tags, is inside a container of HTML. And we're telling the browser to encode this and look at this as it is written in English. We have something called the head tags, and these are a way of giving information to a search engine or the browser. They don't come up on your actual site, but they are read by the machine interpreter of either the browser or a search engine. So for example, we have our title. So if I change this on the side over here, And I can X out of this. If I change this one to page 2 and I load it, we will see this pop up, and takes a second, and we see that page 2 at the top. Change to page 3, we'll see that change at the top. So we have our title tags, and title has a closing tag. These next 2 lines are meta tags, and again, these are written for the browser to encode your page in a particular way. This first one, UTF-8, this one is specifically for looking at the encoding for your site. So it's Unicode transformation format, and it's the sort of most standardized way of reading sites and reading information. The next one is a way of scaling your site if your phone is being looked at on different browsers. So for example, your browser on your phone is different than your browser on your computer, which is different than an iPad or other device. And this says scale your entire site to be on a scale of 1 to 1, rather than extending off of the entire scale of your device if you hadn't specifically designed for mobile. This next one is a way of linking to a style sheet. So it's a way of saying, hey, our CSS page is located somewhere else, which means we can update many pages at the same time, and look at that page for the information. We'll get into that later on. And then we close out the head tag. Now, on a website, everything inside your site has to be contained within 2 body tags. This is the content of our page. So HTML tags contain everything on the page. Head tags contain everything that is, information about your site and connecting it to CSS and JavaScript. And the body tag is all of the actual stuff that appears on your site. So for example, inside here, when I start writing, I'm going to do a p tag and I say hello world. Now, when you open up your brackets, you will probably find that yours is doing this. I'm going to go to edit real quick, that your site or your page is doing this, that it auto creates closing tags. So if I did an H1 tag and I close it, it auto creates those tags. Sometimes you may want to have this on, sometimes you might not. Sometimes it's convenient to have that and I can say hello, and notice we get an H1 tag, same thing, H3, and I close it out, and now it's like smaller, hello. But if I want to be able to turn that off, what you can do is download an extension. And so what I would do is go to File, Extension Manager, and you can search for Auto Close and Disable Auto Close Tags. It's this one by Travis Almond. And this is really helpful for closing those tags if you don't want that on. So you'll install it, and you can see your installed elements here. So I have that set up. And what that allows you to do is if I want to turn that off, I can go to Edit and Disable Auto Close Tags. So now when I do a p tag, notice that it didn't close automatically. So hello again. So that can be helpful. The other one that can be helpful is something called Beautify. So if I have all of these and I've gone in and I've gone in and I have just like a ton of stuff on my page and it's like all kind of messed up, it's like a little disorganized, things are inside one another, what I can do is use something called Beautify. And that again is another extension. It looks like this magic wand. I press it and it re-puts everything back together. And this is really nice for making sure everything is stacked correctly. And so again, I go to File, Extension Manager, and I search for Beautify. Beautify. And it's this one by Drew Hamlet. And you install it, and this thing will pop up. You can also right-click and go to Beautify. When this is done, I can just do Control or Command S, and it'll save it. So the important things to remember are to create a new page, you go to File, New, and then it'll create a new page, and then you have to specifically give it an extension. And I will often, as I said earlier, I will copy and paste these parts between pages, sometimes just to keep it easier. You have to memorize some things, and some things just make the workload easier on yourselves. And notice that this entire thing is closed afterwards with our HTML tag. So everything is contained inside the HTML tags. Our head tags are at the top, and our body tags contain all of our content.